Maryland, one of 7 states now, banding together to buy 3.5 million rapid COVID tests. Tests that can provide results in as little as 15 minutes. We're joined now by the governor of Maryland, Larry Hogan, who negotiated that deal. Governor Hogan, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
Before we get into that, this idea that Maryland is still on the quarantine list for New York, is that fair?
I don't really think it's fair. I'm not sure what metrics they're using. We have hit our record lows, the lowest we've had since the beginning of this pandemic, both in our daily positivity rate and our rolling 7-day average rate. We're one of the best in the country right now, so I'm not quite sure what that decision was based on, but it's probably an error.
Before we get into this compact, the president, as you know, pushing for schools to reopen. In fact, on Wednesday, he said that children were, his words, quote, almost immune to the virus. Do you think that schools should be reopening all over the country in a few weeks?
Well, look, in our state, we had a very detailed plan that our state superintendent of schools put together about a month and a half ago, working in conjunction with all of our local boards of education, gave flexibility to those local school boards to, within a set of parameters set by the state, to make those decisions. Certain jurisdictions are going to be closed and do remote learning. Others are going to try to do, in more rural areas, a type of hybrid where they can try to get some kids back in the classroom. But we can't just make a decision, one size fits all across the country, to say everybody must open schools. That just doesn't make sense.
Let's talk about this first of its kind agreement between states to buy tests. How did this deal come about?
Well, you know, we've been focused on testing is going to be the key to opening up our economies, to trying to get the kids back to school safely when we can, to opening up our universities. Fighting this virus is going to take robust and more rapid testing. We've had these slowdowns in testing with labs taking as much as 10 days to 2 weeks to get results. This is a new generation of rapid tests that's much more accurate than the ones they had months ago that didn't really work too well. And the federal government did not put this kind of a deal together, so I gathered together with now 7 of my colleagues across the country. We have an 8th state that joined. We're going to purchase 4 million of these rapid tests in a partnership between the states and with the support of the Rockefeller Foundation and 2 great companies that have FDA approval. And we're going to be making announcements about rolling out these tests fairly quickly. It's a part of our testing strategy. We still have the diagnostic testing that's in our state, in our lab, is taking 24 to 48 hours. That's more accurate and still an important part of it. But these are good for all kinds of purposes to get those fast results to decide if somebody's got the virus or not.
Results in as little as 15 minutes, as I understand it. We should note that the governors are Republican and Democratic governors. But, Governor, I read about this. One of the things that struck me is it would seem as if this is something that the federal government should be doing or should have done. Why did you have to get together with 6 other governors?
Well, you know, I've been making this argument since March when I was chairing the National Governors Association, saying that we needed a national testing strategy and pushing for that. Back in April, I went and got 500,000 of my own tests through a deal with South Korea. Now I've banded together with 4 Republican states, 4 Democratic states, brought them into an agreement, and we're purchasing 4 million rapid tests in a consortium of states because this wasn't done at the federal level. And it certainly makes more sense to do that in that capacity than have, 50 different states scrambling around trying to find those resources on their own. And I think all the governors are pleased that at least we had this opportunity to form a coalition.
How quickly do you expect to roll this thing out?
Well, we're finalizing the details, but each state is going to receive about 500,000 of these tests, and they're in production, and we're hoping to be able to announce them and get them distributed out to the states very shortly.
We know that testing, of course, is going to bring the numbers down. We're also told that wearing those masks, those face coverings, that's also something that is absolutely imperative to get this virus under control. There continues to be this ongoing national debate over mask wearing in this country, Governor. What do you make of that?
Well, we have a masking order. We were one of the first states in the country to have one. It's been very effective in us not being one of those states that's spiking. We expanded it just a few weeks ago, and since that time we've continued to see a decline in our numbers. as I mentioned yesterday, we hit our lowest point, our lowest positivity rates since the very beginning of this pandemic, and a lot of it has to do with the people in our state following the rules, wearing the mask, socially distancing, and continuing to try to be safe. We've got most of our economy open. It's pretty simple just to make sure you take these steps to try to stay safe.
Governor Larry Hogan, we'll leave it there. Governor, always good to have you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just